This is part 2 of the murdered Christians in these last days. This man asked, he looked like he was a man over a murdering squad, just like I said in the other one, it looked like someone that is over the squad that kills you. Well, there was a whole gang of people. I mean, this was just national television. There was every news anchor woman and man, just like you see on Channel 8. I'm right here in front of the building of such and such, such and such. I mean, I don't know what building it is, but the building looked kind of ancient, almost like a Washington, D.C. building. And they were reporting this was happening in a great big old building. It had, the statues and the forms of the building were like Washington, D.C. And not necessarily is it going to take place there, but that's what I saw. I mean, a building like that. I haven't been all over the world, so I have no idea where it's at. But this had a huge hole in the middle of the earth somewhere, and nothing but a pile of murdered Christians or people who will not take the mark. Well, I looked over and I saw the guillotine full of blood. It was a guillotine, like the old days guillotine where it comes down and whoosh, there goes your head. Okay, and the position that I played the person that had to resume the position was on their knees and their head goes through the hole with the face looking down. One more question and she said no. And the guillotine came down. Her head went into the bucket. But guess what? The Lord showed me something. He showed me that she was not dead. Because my spirit rose up out of the body. He let me see and feel how that the flesh dies. But it was not the spirit of the woman that spoke and talked and lived in that house of a body. The temple of that body was no longer there, but that person rose up, which I played that part again. And I looked down at the people that were murdered in the hole. And I saw the body that my spirit just come out of, thrown in the hole, and the head was thrown in there. Then I saw the others that I love was crying profusely. I mean, just mind-gagging crying. Then in the dream, in the spirit of whoever I was playing was this woman's son. He saw her being murdered and he said, "Oh, they weren't supposed to do that." But he could not let them see his reaction because he was walking up to see who was getting murdered. He thought that his family was safe, and they weren't safe. It was in fact his family getting murdered. His sisters was finna die next. Well, he said, it was like he got hit in his chest so hard and tears in his eyes filled up. And the news anchor man, after she died, and I didn't get to see the rest of them get murdered, but after, that family got martyred, then the news anchor men and women that were just as normal as possible as you see on the news, and we're here at News Channel 2 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they began to talk about, we got rid of these wretched people. Should we find any more of them? This dream was so horrible to me to even think that people are going to be even worse than what they are. Just evil, barbaric, and just some of the most hideous evil I've ever seen in my whole life. They were even happy when they saw him set them on fire. They set the whole hole on fire. And the news, all the news anchor men and all the people were rooting it on, yeah, like you see on those evil movies like 300 and stuff like that. They was happy to see it on fire and see the people dying. They're already dead from their head being chopped off, but seeing all their bodies being set on fire and the stench, it was awful. But it was normal to these people to smell burning flesh in this big old giant black hole that they had built in the earth for dying martyrs, for people who have to die for Christ. The smell of their flesh went up in the air, and it was black. There was like the sun turned red. What's the moon? Well, anyway, it was two of them. One was red, and another one turned black. And there was smoke going up with the stench of their bodies and everything. And the sun ran from the news anchoring people, you know, from out of the crowd. But he had to pretend that everything was normal, because then they would know that he was connected to Christians and that he was a Christian. He had some type of, you know, situation that I can't tell. I almost did. Well, anyway, he began to walk with everybody in the crowd. As he got to this building, he had to run inside the building to hide his emotions. He ran down the stairway, threw up, and he kept throwing up. Everywhere he walked, he just vomited everywhere. And he was just crying, and he was crying, and he was crying, and he said he wanted to die. He wanted to die. People, this was so horrible. And I guess what I'm saying is you can't even trust, you really won't be able to trust even your loved ones, because they might not even know that they're getting you into trouble. You can't even trust no one. Trust Jesus right now, today. You cannot trust no one. Okay, that's my message. You have a blessed day.